first learned how to be tuned into, I had to sit very still. That's the first time I experienced it. I was sitting very still. And so I could feel somebody kind of tuning into me. I'm like, relax and open, relax and open, relax your eyes, lean, breathe. You know, and I would try to do anything I could. I probably interfered with it too much for it to happen. But, you know, and then now it's that feeling, though, of sensing, somebody sensing me. And part of the reason, there's two reasons why I was thinking, well, there's several reasons why I was thinking about this. Don't let me forget the therapist boyfriend question. But one of them is that I'm in Harlem and I've just come from the land and there are different frequencies. And so that experience of changing frequencies and how disorienting changing any frequency can be. And I don't really tune in until I walk in a place. And so I was going for this walk, and many people know Harlem is, I don't know if Harlem, Mongolia, Sicily, they're my three favorite places in the world. And I was a little tight and I started walking. And as I started walking, I started melting. And the reason that I started melting, and this is why Harlem's one of my favorite places in the world, is that people were willing to connect. And that connection brought me into almost like the web or the network of connection. And then suddenly there was a sense that I wasn't separate from anything. And then there was a sense that whatever I was not separate from was like it was like a heartbeat. It was like a pulse. And I try to actually walk very slowly these days, but because I went walking with my lama and he basically said, you walk too fast. So I've been walk slower because I used to try to walk in front of the feelings. But so I tried, but the feeling was actually to stay in tune with it. I had to kind of walk a little bit faster, and I was walking. And as I did, it was like the entire landscape became this beautiful theater. It was this moment right when you know you're in, you know, right when you hear a musician hit a note and you know they were trying to hit that note and they hit that note and the note flies into the room and everything opens for everybody in the room because they did it, they hit it. I was just reading, a friend of mine just wrote a story on Barbara Streisand, and her book, I guess, is 900. You can read it. Daphne Merkin in the New York Times wrote this. I don't know if she's my friend, but she's somebody I very, very, very much like. And her work is exquisite. And so she was talking about Barbara Streisand and what it was like to be her. And I just started reading different stories. And one of the stories said there could be a 120-person orchestra and she could hear when one musician was off. And I think that's what Om is. Om is having every single one of those ears inside of you open to hear what's off and what's on, all concurrently. She could hear the music. She could be singing at the same time. She has pitch perfect hearing. And so she can be in action. She can hear the mistakes and she can hear what's right. And she can be inside of the overall experience, which I think that's so big clitoris, this world. And so I was walking and I was having this experience. Suddenly, I don't know if this will be as beautiful to you as it is to me, but so there are all these people and they were all hustling and bustling, and I looked over and there were these tables. Oh, see, it makes me want to cry. There were these tables and there were all of these African wares, and I looked over and there was a man and he had this, I don't know what kind of hat it was, but it was lovely, with that really saffron colored yellow with the kind of ochre color, and he was wearing a robe, a satin robe. And I looked at him and I realized that man has a quality of nobility, but he's totally invisible here. But he's willing to continue to hold that. And then right as I looked over at him, I looked down and there was this guy, and my guess is he's residents challenged. I heard that's the new way of saying it. And but clearly familiar with the outdoors, with the streets. And he looked and he was kind of gruff, talking to somebody. And then I saw him peek down, and he saw a piece of garbage and just picked it up and threw it in the trash and kept walking. It was so beautiful. Just these moments all kind of came together. And then I was thinking about when I live around the corner from Revolution Bookstore, and there was this woman, this really cool talk in the summer. They do talks out in front of the bookstore. And there was this woman who was speaking. I guess she'd written a book, and she said, you know, they say we are I think they say we're too loud, we're too loud, we're too arrogant, and we don't know our place. And she said, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's we know who we are. I thought that was so great. And in that moment, you know, I was walking, I was going to meet somebody at Red Rooster or something. I was walking, I had my own, and that woman just stopped me and tuned me in. And her refrain of her whatever talk she was giving just kept saying, I know who I am. I know who I am. You know, the religion I come from doesn't come with a cross on my back. I know who I am. And she just kept going. And I thought, wow, that's so powerful. So many times we can be defeated. We can think what we have to say, what we think, what we feel doesn't matter. Nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. Everybody's tuned out. Everybody's in their own business. And this woman, she didn't have a bullhorn or anything. She was just saying this, probably not much louder than I am. And she stopped me in my tracks. She stopped several people. We were all just stopped in our tracks simply by her conviction of being who she was. So that was what had me start thinking about really talking about this attunement and the power of it, because I think we can discount how much our frequency matters, how it impacts, and for better or for worse, you know, we really affect people. Just that